Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm gamesplaining Alubari, a nice cup of tea. So Alubari is a 1 to 5 player game. It is on the same line of games as Snowdonia. In fact, it's next to the same game. It's not, but it feels very similar. I haven't played Snowdonia for a really long time. I did back the Kickstarter and got all the extra bits all into the one box, but I haven't actually got it back to the table. The whole idea is there's a railway line that you are trying to build or remove dirt and build into. This version of the game, Alubari, has separated the two issues a little bit. There's still things on the board that need to happen before these next set of stations are available to you. You're trying to claim portions by trading in, say, dirt and then putting a marker on a little spot that will give you points or something else. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but in essence, this is an action selection game where you have two figures. And so you're only selecting two actions each turn. And so doing the things, they are reduced. So if you wish to build that railway line, there's only one action that can build that, and you have to be the one person that selects that. If someone else selects it, they're going to get to build it, obviously. That's in the small account game. And actually, I really appreciate this on this game, Alubari and Snowdonia, that they have cards that cover up the spaces that are available depending on the player count. So you're putting down different cards for each player count because that's going to change the number of spots that are available for each thing. There is a weather table or a changing weather thing. You can see what weather's coming up, but it changes, and that will change the amount of stuff that you can do, the amount of things that are available to you. All of these different elements will change up or down depending on what that weather is. And so picking the right time to do elements of the game, for example, building the rail, you might be able to build 2 sections of rail in one turn. You might only be able to do 1. You may be able to dig out 3 pieces of that dirt. You may be able to dig out 5. Doing the things at the time that's most optimal to you to do the thing is actually really important. And finding that, I need to do this, but I need to do that, but I want to do that, is really important with this game. There are 4 different elements of resource, I guess you'd call it. So there's iron, there's stone, there's dirt, and there is tea or chai. I can't remember if they call it both or one or the other. It doesn't really matter. But there's 4 different elements. Chai is really the thing that makes the game work. This one element, but you can only take one of them in a turn, for each meeple. That just adds up, but you can only have so much, and so you have to use it. But using is actually a really good thing because it makes each of the different elements that you could do more powerful than if you didn't use it. And so finding the right timing on when to use it is actually really important. You're turning these other elements into other things. So the ore becomes rail line. Things like that. You can trade the stone into dirt or dirt into stone. That's one of the actions. That's one of the things that can happen. There are a whole bunch of cards over on the side that one side of the card tells you what the weather is going to be or what weather type to add in to your lineup of weather. But when that turns over, that gives some really high levels of endgame points. And this is actually one of the main things to watch out for with this game. There's a few cards that give really horrendously high levels of points, like 30, 40 points in one hit, kind of in that space. I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but that kind of space. And there are other cards that will, or little spots that you can go, they'll only give like 4 points, 2 points, minimal amount of points. I do wonder if going after the big stuff it's obviously important, but going after that little stuff as well, I think is just as important because you can get a whole bunch of those small points and they'll add up past that big points. The big points on these cards get points after placing stuff. What I mean by that is that every time you do something, you clear something, you put some rail in, you visit the city, you're going to put a marker over something. When you put that marker over the something, usually that will get you some points. Yes, there are some spots that will just give you some extra stuff, but usually that will give you some points at the end of the game. When we get to the end of the game, those things score their points first, and then you take your markers and put them onto your card if you've done the thing enough. So you might be looking at a card that needs 6 bits of rail put in. You're going to score like 4 points, 3 points, 5 points for each of those bits of rail before you then take the markers and put them over onto the card. And so those markers, they're kind of multiple use in terms of that scoring. You may find that you get a whole bunch of the tea leaves. Those are potentially, if you have the right cards, could be used to get points at the end of the game. And there's so darn much going on with this, with the push and pull of everything. There, even to the extent of the last spot that's available to you in terms of the action selection, can turn those tea leaves into actual chai, which pushes you forward, and having more of that at the end will get you some uber points. So you want to be high up on that. So getting that action as the last thing that you do is probably really important, unless you have been playing the game without actually using that tea for the bonuses. And I think it's actually more important to use the bonuses and then get yourself as high as you can in the last turn or the second last turn than anything else. That's a really important thing to do, because you can get more stuff for your actions. And this is really the key to the game. Get more stuff for your actions. There are only 2 actions that you have, 2 workers that you have on each turn. Each round of the game, you're going to put 2 guys out. Yes, there's a 3rd guy there, but to get that 3rd guy, you need to either have an engine, the train thing sitting there, and then spend a tea to get him, or you have to have done something else that will get an extra guy into your lot. So you tend to find that you're not using that 3rd guy much. He's there and he does get used sometimes, but not often throughout this entire game. You're working with just the 2 things. And having that tension of I've only got 2 things to use is really one of the major players in this game, and in the ability to do anything. I've found that the worker placement games that have heaps of different things that you can do in terms of putting things out don't quite feel as tense as games that only have 1 or 2 or 3 things. Like 1 or 2 is kind of the magic spot for me, just in terms of tension and building that tension in everything that we're doing. This is played on one of those 6-piece boards, so it's quite a large board. There's a whole bunch going on. The art is, I think it's right, but it's a bit weird because the rail kind of just loops around on itself. And so you're not actually building the rail, you're building the spots that the rail line goes along. I wonder if that looping around on itself is so that you don't think, oh, I've got to put things onto that rail line, or if there's something else behind it. That it feels a little bit odd to me. I mean, that's just me, so it feels a bit awkward, but the overall appearance of the game, it just works. It's one of those games that just, it's there and it works. Even though there's a whole bunch going on, the actual playing of the game, once you know what's happening, is really straightforward and really understandable. This is a real brain teaser of a game that you will be scratching your head going, oh, which one do I want to do? What do I need to do in order to get the little bits of points that are dotted all around the board? And I think that's really where these games own the space, is those games where you're just stopping and thinking, oh, what do I want to do? Every time you come up against doing something. Alubari, really good game, a really, really good game. I really strongly suggest having a play of it if you're able to. I will leave it there. If you have any games that you wish to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the Gamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.